Hey, what's up, folks? Adam Maness here. Today we're going to be talking about Barry Harris's 6th Diminished Scale and how to use it. Just the basics of it. And here's what it is. The basic premise of it is a major scale with a half step in between the 5th and 6th tones. Right? So a C major scale, and then after the 5th, there's that half step in between the 5th and the 6th. Now, why is this the thing? Why is this a sound? Well, it's because this makes your melodic ideas line up with the strong notes of the chord on the beat. That's kind of how this became about. You can really put a half step in between any of these notes, which is what my friend John Ellis was saying, that he thinks about just being able to put a half step between any of them. But as a pianist, actually, that half step between the 5th and the 6th opens up some harmonic possibilities that we're going to get to in a minute. But that's the basic premise. So if we're in 4/4, right, that 6 is on that third beat, and then the root is then again on the 1 of the next measure. Sorry, the 6 is on the 4th beat. The 5th is on the 3rd beat. But on the beat notes, if you start on the root, are a C major 6th chord. Very strong for a C major 6th chord. And then if you start on any of those, you end up logically landing on the beat for the strong tone. So if we start on the 3rd, you end on the 3rd. If you start on the 5th, you end on the 5th. You always are ending on a strong note. And that's true of putting a half step into any 7-note scale. You're going to logically end or start over again on the beat. And that's why this scale is useful. The bebop scale is useful with the half step between the root and the flat 7 on a dominant chord. Okay, so that's the basics melodically of why this works. Some things that you can do to really kind of get deeper into it. First of all, I highly encourage you to work this out in contrary motion. So let's start on C and we'll go in contrary motion. This is kind of the first thing that Barry Harris does in his master classes too. Same scale, half step between, look at that, octaves, and you end on the octave 2 octaves apart. I just added a 3rd there randomly, and you can experiment with that too in thirds. You see, it just creates kind of natural harmony for you. And again, starting from any strong tone, see that where that half step is in the left hand creates these kind of natural resolving harmonic movements. You can do it from thirds apart. So that was from G and E. This comes really handy when you're dealing with melodies for kind of some contrary motion, some little inside movers with melodic content. Great for arranging. You know, anytime you have a melody that you want to move, you know, little My Romance. You could do little contrary movements that really make sense and land on the strong beats. Okay, so that's just some basic 2-note melodic content. You might have noticed that when you start on the strong notes, the notes that aren't strong are following a pattern. And that's because if we skip a note on the strong notes, we have a major 6 chord. If we skip a note on the notes in between those, we have a diminished chord. And this follows suit the entire way up. So let's say we have 4 voices moving up the scale together. It's a major 6 to start, built on C, C, E, G, A. And then we have D, F, A flat, B. And then E, G, A, C, that's another C major 6. And then F, A flat, B, D, another diminished. So it alternates between major 6, diminished, C major 6, diminished, C major 6, diminished. And the diminished is, this diminished chord can act like a 5 to the C major 6. If you put a G on the bottom of this, it becomes a G7 flat 9, acting as a dominant to that major 6. It's so logical, it's ridiculous. And that's why you hear this a lot. We talked Wednesday about the shearing style voicing, the lock hand voicing. You hear this used a ton for that. You can go up and down scales. Really, really, really logical. It's so much fun. By the way, you can do this with minor too, with a harmonic, with a melodic minor sound, excuse me. Is that legal? Yes. So this is just the very, very beginnings of it. It goes pretty deep when you start getting into multiple voicings and you start switching some things up. I encourage you again to check out the long form masterclasses that Barry Harris does. Just brilliant stuff. And this kind of information can really help you with getting good voice leading no matter what the situation, because you understand the relationships between the strong notes and the leading tones, and especially for a bebop sound, a hard bop sound, these can be really, really useful. As always, you can go to you'llhear.com. You can leave us a voicemail. You can leave us a message. You can get your You'll Hear swag. We have t-shirts. We have a whole bunch of stuff. And until next time, you'll hear it.